On this episode of the Prog Metalist podcast, we talk about Octavarium by Dream Theater. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Prog Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're doing our summerly Dream Theater episode that we do about every summer. I think
July usually.
Yeah, usually sometime in July. We end up talking about a Dream Theater album of some stretch or repute. All Dream Theater albums are of some repute
and some stretch.
Yes, they're usually quite long. So this year we're talking about their 8th studio album, Octavarium.
Very well loved album.
Generally it's considered to be one of their best. Especially like there's kind of two periods of their career. There's post 2000 and pre 2000.
Yes.
And it's considered to be one of their best in the sort of post 2000 era. Although like before Metropolis Part 2, kind of the only album that I'm aware of that people even like in that era is Images and Words.
What, in the pre 2000?
Yeah, like as far as I'm aware, in the scope of their entire career, all of their albums before and in between, like their stuff before Images and Words isn't quite as well loved.
Well, that's like their second album, wasn't it?
I think it's their second or third. And all of their stuff after that, but before Metropolis, tends to rank pretty low on like lists of their best albums. My cat is freaking the fuck out right now.
Yeah. I noticed that.
Apparently, because I have a laptop on my lap instead of her.
Right.
And that's unacceptable. She can't stand that. So
stop petting the metal cat.
Stop petting the metal cat. That reminds me of that gag gift I got, which was a vinyl record called Heavy Pettin'.
Do you have Heavy Pettin'?
No, that was
Christmas.
The office Christmas party.
Right.
I got that as a white elephant gift.
Right, and then you traded that in for something else. You didn't know what that something else was.
A bong.
A bong. What kind of crackpot would bring a bong to an office party exchange?
You cackled so loudly when I got that. You're like, I hope you're the one who gets that.
Yeah, and it was.
So yeah,
you've still never used it.
No, I haven't, because I'm not that sort of guy.
You don't really.
I don't know people.
Right.
And I'm not interested in knowing people.
If you could just go to the store and get pot, yeah,
that would be different.
Great.
If it was legal recreanot, it would be a different story.
But you don't have to call a friend of some kind.
Yeah, I don't like all the shady business. It's just it's not for none of that's for me.
Who was it? Was it John Mulaney that was talking about that weed dealers are screwed if it becomes legal?
He probably has some. I don't remember that joke, but that sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, because now
because nobody would have them around.
Right.
Like when you order
Chinese food,
you don't expect the delivery guy to come in, and you certainly wouldn't give him some of your food.
And you certainly wouldn't tolerate it when he gets weird with your girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've never. What's that? It's Hemingway, isn't it? Where it's baby shoes never worn. Isn't that credited to Hemingway or something?
I think
but now I'm thinking of like glass bong never used. the saddest short story. Hey, related, I will be going to Las Vegas, Nevada,
indeed,
quite soon. So
yes, you're going to go just all sorts of debauchery. As our coworker told me, he was sitting there, and my lady friend could hear him speaking. He said, "All right, buddy, make sure you impregnate all the whores." Like, all right. Shane, thanks, sure.
I'll go impregnate all of the whores. Yeah, my weekend of debauchery of laying about an Airbnb and playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh, man, you're a maniac.
Say what you will, but conservative Christian moms of the 80s would definitely see that as as a horrifyingly debauched weekend of sin.
And now. That's sort of the culture now. And there will be Satan worship.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly, of course.
That will definitely be a present for sure.
Definitely going to consume a human infant in praise of Satan.
Yep. That's all part. I mean, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Duh. What else would you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody knows that's what happens when you play D&D.
That's why we make the quote fingers when we say roll dice.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that's not what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah, it should be a fun weekend.
Yeah.
I think we're going out to eat once. There's a vague idea that if we can find like a karaoke place that has booths like that where you can get like a room, that we would go and do that, because absolutely none of us are interested in going up and doing that in front of strangers. But if we could have a private space where we could just do karaoke with each other, that would be a lot more fun.
But those opinions can change once like mojitos are involved.
Yeah, that's true. But
I'm not gonna sing for people. 2 hours later,
here's Mariah Carey. Because I'm definitely in a state to be able to do that.
Yeah, you're in a position.
Because I could do that sober.
You and your 8-octave range.
Yep. Here's some. What popped into my head was Elizabeth Taylor, and that's not. She's an actress,
right? You said Mariah Carey, but
a similarly. Why can't I remember her name? She has a cover of a Dolly Parton song. That's more famous than the Dolly Parton version.
Oh, we're talking about Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
I was just cycling through divas that I know of. People, women who were famous for being a bit sassy, and so I was just like going through it. And could not come up with Whitney Houston for some reason.
I think she was on tour with Elizabeth Taylor.
I think because there's a quote that I remember about Elizabeth Taylor, I believe, is that she wanted to be fashionably late to her own funeral or something like that. And for some reason that got tangled up with tales of Whitney Houston's diva-ishness. And
her funeral. Because she's also passed. So
yes, Whitney Houston also passed away. That was a while ago at this point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And also I was thinking of singers whose songs are famously difficult to, perform, because Whitney Houston, very good singer, very
gifted vocal, but not Elizabeth Taylor. I don't think
again,
actress,
just divas. I was just thinking of it had nothing to do. I just got the names wrong.
Right.
That's all it was. Women are all the same. They're all interchangeable.
By the way, just so you know, Kale lives alone.
If that wasn't, if all the talking about Dungeons and Dragons a minute ago wasn't obvious enough.
He's a dweeb and a misogynist? You never see that.
Who would have seen this coming? Let me guess. He likes Warhammer and heavy metal.
Wow.
A real keeper, this guy. Yeah. I've set myself up for failure.
You'll get there, buddy.
You like 90% of the same things as me, and you have 5 children.
Yeah, I know.
So
I don't know what you have to change to be like me.
You have natural charisma is what you have. Yes,
you're also a broadcaster, so you have to have some level of charisma.
Sure, but I feel like it's so much more focused, and much less broad.
Okay, maybe I have a charisma of 13, and yours is more like an 11.
So yeah, you have a +1. I've got a +0. It's technically above the average, but not enough to get me anywhere. More Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
talk.
Exactly. I was just in Las Vegas last week. When was it last week?
Yeah, it was.
Did we? Oh yeah, we've already talked about it.
Yeah, we've recorded since you took your trip.
Right, because we came back and we did it on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday to shake it up a bit.
And that made it weird. That like last episode was weird.
Yeah,
I don't know if my brain was just like it's not the right day.
Yeah. This is wrong.
I was just tired as fuck and could not. Hi. Cat wants my attention.
I was also tired, but only in that, boy, if I had a lot of fun and I could sleep for a couple of days, kind of tired.
I was tired because it was 4th of July week. And shit. We had a day off in the middle of the week, which will fuck your whole shit up. Like for me, like I hate days off in the middle of the week because it doesn't feel like a day off.
Right.
It doesn't feel like anything. It's I don't like it.
See, you know what schedule I would like to work if I could get that schedule?
What?
I would like to work 4/10s.
4/10s? Explain that to me.
I'd like to work 4/10s. I'd like to work 4
10-hour days?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I like to work 4 10-hour days and then be off for 3.
I can see that. I can see that. Although it's like even the 10-hour days might not necessarily be globally required because there are countries that just do 4 to 8 hour days and they seem to be fine.
Right. In fact, they seem to do better.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. The production, the work done while people are at work seems to be better quality and done more efficiently.
But this is America. So Zima, God damn it. There's not room for you.
It's okay, Zima. I still like you.
I have a laptop covering my lap, and she tried to jump up.
I hope she remembers that when we party this weekend.
Yeah, yeah. You're watching over her.
Yeah, I am
for the time being.
I'll be coming over every day, giving her water, giving her food, petting her head.
Well, you won't need to give her any water because her thing is full.
Oh, okay. Is it one of those?
Yeah,
gotcha.
She has a big water cooler looking thing.
So I'll have to spike it with the vodka then.
Yeah. Definitely put some vodka.
Because we party when
in
you're
my
gone.
cat's water for sure. That'll be good for her. That'll be good for her tiny liver.
Yeah, tiny brain.
Yes. She's violent enough when she's stone cold sober. You're gonna walk in and she's just going to like drunkenly attack you. Slam herself into the wall.
Yeah, dude. Well, first of all, at some point, Zima started smoking. I don't know why she took up smoking.
I don't know where she got the cigarettes or how she lit them.
Yeah. Yeah. And she sexually assaulted me.
What the fuck? God.
I'm sorry. It was the Smirnoff.
Oh, Jesus.
I apologize.
No. Yeah. Did you buy anything during Prime Day?
I bought nothing from me. I bought I get a message from my ex-wife because I have a Prime account and she doesn't. We used to just all share a Prime account. Yeah. And so every now and then on like a Prime Day or something where you can only find on Amazon, she'll send me a text message. Hey.
Hello.
I want a little green robot vacuum. Can you just buy that for me and I'll pay you back for it?
Hey, why not?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Of course I am. It'll be here Monday.
I bought a expensive PlayStation controller.
Right.
Because I don't like the stock PS5 controller. Mm-hmm. It's fine, but it's just got a lot of my brain stopped working.
The vibrations and extra stuff.
They have the HD rumble. That's cool. Like it's cool, but it's not something that I particularly need. There are some games that might not quite work correctly without it, which, I'm not getting rid of my stock controller. So I guess if a game requires there's the trigger sometimes will have a break to it.
Sure.
Like that's neat. That's a cool feature, but I don't really need that if it's just like an extra little thing. What I do want are buttons that don't feel like mush to press. And all of the buttons on the PS5 controller are just mushy.
Really?
And like they're membrane, they're not clicky. I really, really like clicky mechanical switches on my stuff. That's my keyboard. That's my mouse. I mean, a mouse is supposed to be clicky anyway, but like my keyboard, my Xbox controller, the function buttons aren't clicky, but just about everything else is. Like I like mechanical switches on stuff.
I gotta get one of these things, by the way.
A PS5.
Yeah, because I mean, like lately I've been playing a bunch of different games, and I got a new TV.
Yeah,
and it's a 65-inch 4K TV. And before, when I had the TV you gave me, which again, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I would play it on that TV. Everything's cool.
Yeah.
But now my PlayStation 4 on the new TV. Whoa. Holy crap.
You're seeing that high definition ain't quite as high as you thought it was.
Right, exactly.
You want to get the most out of the 4K. I guess I don't quite get the most out of my PS5 that I have because all my monitor, I only use it on my monitors here.
Oh, really?
They're only 1080p.
Dude, I don't know how much space. Well, I don't know how much space you have. I haven't been in your apartment twice a week for the last 5 years. But I mean, the TV I bought was less than $400.
I like being able to use it at my desk though.
Oh, okay. Where is it?
My PS5?
It's right there. Oh no, there it is.
It's on the floor.
Oh wow! Holy shit, that's huge.
Yeah, they're massive. Honestly, I don't think they're compared. I don't think it's that much bigger than my Xbox One, which is sitting on my desk. But especially compared to the PS4, it's quite big.
Right.
And compared to the PS2, it's fucking gigantic.
Right. So I have a slim PS2, which I need to send to my son-in-law.
So it's a pretty beefy, pretty big console. Both of the new Xbox is pretty big as well. At least if you get the high performance one, the Series X.
Is it loud at all?
No, it's whisper quiet.
Whisper quiet.
It is.
Yes.
It's amazing.
That's why it's so big. Because there's a big heat sink in it.
Exactly. It makes hardly any noise whatsoever. It's wonderful. At some point I'll see if I can find if I find a 4K monitor about this size,
which I'm sure you can easily,
$150, then I'll probably just buy 3. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's these. I have an apprehension about upgrading things when I don't have a practical need for them.
Yeah.
Even if it's I can afford this and it would be nice. I'm but these still work just fine.
Right.
I've been that way with my phone for years. I probably have needed to replace it on some level for a couple of years, but I'm I can still do all the things I want to do on it just fine.
Yeah. I had an iPhone 7 until January.
Yeah.
I got this one in friggin' January. So I was forced to do it.
Last year when I was in Vegas, I dropped my phone on its corner.
Yeah.
And there was a little crack there. And since then, if it's in intense sunlight, the screen will just go green.
Neat.
It will flicker a solid bright green color for some reason. But it doesn't happen quite often enough that because I don't go outside.
Right. Exactly.
But
again, D&D.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen often enough for me to be really bothered by it. But I know I need to my phone is 5 years old.
Oh, so there's been 6 generations since that phone.
Yeah. And I like Samsungs, so I'd probably get another Samsung, but the fact that even Samsung decided not to do headphone jacks is bothersome.
Really?
I don't think I can't remember it was their thing for a couple generations. They're Apple got rid of your headphone jack. Don't worry, we've still got it. And then they're just kidding, we're getting rid of it too. Which in my day to day isn't bothersome to me because I use I pretty much exclusively use wireless earbuds with it. But when I'm sometimes when we're playing D&D online, I can just plug this straight into my codec and broadcast music over Discord, and control music for the the online session.
Your computer's not Bluetooth ready?
I mean, I could do that, but why would I do it over Bluetooth? I don't think I could connect. Like it wouldn't work
into that thing
for what I'm trying to do. I don't believe that would work.
Right.
I can just plug it in with a regular, headphone cord straight into my PreSonus, and
right.
There we go. Music for everyone to set the scene and the tone.
Right.
And the
flavor.
The flavor of the dungeon.
It's dungeon flavor.
What flavor is this dungeon? I was reminded there was some talk in a Discord that I'm in about different flavors of chip. And I was reminded, what are your thoughts on pizza Pringles?
On pizza Pringles?
Yeah.
I like them.
I
really like them.
I would, if you put a whole big can of pizza Pringles in front of me right now, I would eat the whole thing.
Yeah, they're delicious.
I just had dinner like 45 minutes ago. I would still eat that entire can of Pringles. It would hurt my mouth, but I would keep going. I don't know what it is.
You just really love pizza Pringles.
Pizza, and I don't get them very often, but like if I'm of a mood to like be treating myself and I remember those exist and I walk past them and I see them, I'm like, that's for me. Give me those. And they're like Cheetos in the sense that like you're gonna get shit all over your fingers,
right?
And that's bothersome.
Literally.
Yeah, it's literally shit. They're dusted with shit. That's what makes them so good and flavored like pizza.
Right.
I don't even know what that what any of that flavor they put on those technically is.
Yeah, what's it supposed to be?
It's obviously not pizza. It might be. There is like a 5% chance it is in some way tomato based. I doubt that's the case.
No, I want some.
But yeah, they put something on it to make it a little savory.
What flavor Pringle don't you like? I mean, is there one that you don't care for?
I don't think I've ate enough flavors of Pringles to really say that. Traditionally I'm not a fan of ranch flavored chips.
Okay.
Like ranch chips or anything like that.
Like Cool Ranch Doritos? Do you care for those? Or
no, not really. And like barbecue, I don't. I'm a very plain sort of guy in most of my food choices, and that goes for chips as well.
And with the exception being the pizza chip.
The pizza chip, yes, I enjoy the pizza chip for some reason, but yeah, like barbecue, and like Cool Ranch and that sort of thing. I don't care for them. Pickle stuff is okay. I don't like it's not my preference, but I don't mind it too much. But
they were making a spicy pickle potato chip for a while there.
Interesting.
I loved that. It was great.
Spicy pickle potato chip. Well, I need to go check the dryer, so we'll be back in just a moment.
Right after these messages.
Right after this message from our sponsor. All right, shall we talk about Dream Theater?
Let's talk about Themed Reader.
Themed Reader, yes. So yes. Dream Theater is an American progressive metal / progressive rock band that got started in 1985. They're natives of Long Island, although most of them, at least most of them that were in the band at that time, at the time this album we're talking about was recorded, attended Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Right.
But later on, they would all move to Long Island. I think different members of the band came from different parts of the country. I don't know if they all grew up in the Long Island, New York area.
I feel like John and Mike met, and they were like the heart of the band.
Yeah, from what I remember,
Boston. Yeah,
Petrucci and Portnoy
were
the genesis of the band.
Yes,
but
we're talking about Genesis once again.
Yes, we're talking about Genesis. I mean, also at least at their start, a progressive rock band.
Right.
But Dream Theater has continued to be around since 1985. Probably their most mainstream album would be Images and Words, which came out in 1991 or 93. I can never remember. Let's see. What does Wikipedia say? I feel like 1992, splitting the difference.
Right in the middle of the year I graduated high school.
But they're much more well known in sort of just the general progressive metal and progressive rock circles.
Right.
So Octavarium is their 8th studio album. And that 8 is pretty important. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you know your parts of speech,
your music,
your music, and also a little bit of your Latin, or is it Greek? I'm not sure. Oct. I can't remember if it's Latin or Greek, but in any case, this being their 8th studio album, they decided to base the concept of their album, because they like to do concept albums, around the idea of octaves. So each octave contains 8 naturals and 5 accidentals, because they've done 8 studio albums and 5 live albums. Yep. So each of the songs is in a different key connected to that concept. So the first song, which is called The Root of All Evil, which we'll talk more about later on, is in F. Then the next song is in, I don't know music notation, I assume that's F sharp.
Is it a pound sign?
There's a pound sign, and then slash, and then a G, and then a little B.
Okay. So F sharp, G, and B, yeah.
Okay. And then...
Or G flat. No, sorry, it's F sharp, G flat. Well, G flat is...
They're the same.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where they're technically the same thing.
Right, yeah.
So then we've got The Answer Lies Within is G. Then there is... I don't know if it's technically a separate song, because I don't actually recognize the name of it, but there is on the list here, it's called Pitch Bend, which is in G sharp.
That's a full song, yeah.
It's not on Spotify.
Really?
Pitch Bend, yeah, it's not on Spotify. I think it's, at least for whatever reason, it's on Wikipedia here, it also lists it as being a little bit,
I was thinking of Panic Attack.
Yeah, I think it's technically like a little bit in between.
Sure.
The Answer Lies Within and These Walls that just gets rolled into one of those tracks. These Walls is in A, and there's again a little bit of a transitional track in A sharp. That's Wind, Heartbeat, Chimes at the end of These Walls. Then I Walk Beside You is in B. Panic Attack is in C. The synth solo at the end of Panic Attack is in C sharp. Never Enough is in D. The voices at the beginning of Sacrificed Sons and bits of there is in D sharp. And then Sacrificed Sons is in E, and then Octavarium is in F
natural.
Octave. Yeah, F natural. So yeah, it's a concept that goes over my head as someone who is not versed in actual, like, the structure of music.
Right. But I think you might be interested if you look up musical scale in wavelengths. That might actually be the part of it that could interest you. Yeah.
Well, because I mean, I look at waveforms every fucking day.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So yeah, that would probably be a little bit more interesting. But a number of the songs have, different themes, different. I mean, that's just all songs have different things that they are about. Generally speaking, songs are about something, unless they're not. Sometimes there are songs that are about nothing, but then
happens a lot.
Nothing ends up being the thing they're about. Food for thought. Huh?
Wow, interesting.
Dude, a song about nothing.
It's going to be
actually
you in Vegas.
Has a subject.
We're going to play D&D after we eat these gummies.
Yeah. So the first song is called The Root of All Evil. It is the third song in Mike Portnoy's 12-step suite, which he wrote about his recovery from alcoholism.
Yep.
So it's the third song, which encompasses step 6 and 7, I think, of the 12 steps, if I'm remembering that correctly. And I think it's one of my favorite songs on the album. I would say, like all Portnoy's songwriting style is so unique, and I think as a drummer, it's one of those things that I think has been a big driving force behind like the actual like songwriting complexity of a lot of Dream Theater stuff. Right. Like not that John Petrucci is any slouch when it comes to the songwriting,
not at all.
I think they all kind of write to their strengths a little bit. And so like whenever something gets completely fucking nuts with the time signatures, it was probably written by Portnoy.
Well, wait, he left the band in like 2010.
After the it wasn't anything that happened in Dream Theater. It was Dream Theater was on a little bit of a break, and so he went and filled in Avenged Sevenfold because their drummer had passed away. Was a massive fan of his, and they like reached out to him and was like, "Hey, would you be willing to do this?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And then he got done with that, and he came back to Dream Theater and was like, "Could we maybe extend this break a little bit? Like maybe we take a bit of a hiatus." And apparently the rest of the band really didn't want to do that, and it turned into a whole disagreement, and he ended up just leaving the band, or was kicked out or something. Like I think most of the bad blood is between Mike Portnoy and James LaBrie,
right?
And I think by most accounts those were the two that had the biggest heads out of all of them. So they're
one of them quite literally.
We're always so mean to James LaBrie, and that's I started the puffy face thing. The first time we talked about that. So like not that James LaBrie hears these episodes, but like
that would be hilarious, by the way. You're sitting there at work.
Get an email from James LaBrie.
I've got a bone to pick with you.
What happened to his French Canadian accent?
I've got the bone to pick with you.
There we go. I'm sure that's what he sounds like.
You're really cheesing me off.
Yes, that's a real Quebecois accent right there.
Quebecois.
That's perfect. Perfect. But yeah, that ended up happening in 2010, and I'm like, in retrospect, I'm glad that it took that until then for like tensions to erupt in that way, because the 12-step suite was finished by that point,
right? Which
like you can like make a playlist of it, and I have done that, where you can listen to all of them back to back because they all go into each other pretty seamlessly.
Nice.
You can kind of tell you can tell they're from different albums just by like the production style changing subtly between each album, but like you can listen to them all as one piece, and it's pretty goddamn impressive. They're all meant to lead into each other, and they all have themes from previous songs will be brought back. And this one, in The Root of All Evil, you can hear little bits of This Dying Soul get brought up. I think there's bits of the first track from the 12-step suite as well, because that got started on 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence,
right? Which we've talked about, right?
Yes, that was the first Dream Theater album we talked about.
Yep.
I really like the 12-step suite just as an idea, as a concept within other concepts. It's neat the way that he sort of wrote that into each of their albums. I think it's really cool. There's a couple other songs that have specific sort of subjects. Mike Portnoy also wrote the lyrics to Never Enough, which I think is relatively transparently about like the rigors of being like a musician and having to deal with fans and like expectations that fans have, and the getting burnt out on touring and getting frustrated with like specifically something that Portnoy was talking about is like, going on tour and fans always like working really hard to put together like really cool set lists, and fans always complaining when Pull Me Under isn't in there, because it's like, it's their most popular song, but like, you sometimes have that thing with musicians where it's like, yeah, we know it's our most popular song and we've played it 8 trillion times and we're bored of it. We're doing a whole tour. We have to do this a lot. We don't want to have to play this song we've already played a million times more. Even if it is, far and away their most popular track. They were getting sick of it.
I was actually recently singing that song in my car.
It's a good fucking song.
And it is. It's a great song. But the reason it was
Why were you singing it though?
Because my lady friend was in the passenger seat, puking drunk, and I was driving her home, and she opened the door so as not to violate my car.
Yes.
Which, thank you. And then she's barfing out, so I put on the hazards because I'm in the middle of Valley Street, and I put on the hazards, and all of a sudden, the cherries go off by me. I'm like, pull me over,
pull me over, pull me over. I'm not afraid. That's awesome. There's also Sacrificed Sons, which is about September 11th attacks and the War on Terror. This album came out in 2004.
Yeah.
So this is, a year into the war in Iraq.
3 years after.
3 years after the attacks and into the war in Afghanistan. These guys are from Long Island. So like
big
there's
deal, Sim.
Yeah, like there's a lot of this stuff that, was very present in their lives. And like a weird connection of there was the live album for Metropolis Part 2 came out, I believe was supposed to come out on September 11th. And I believe had an image of the Twin Towers on the cover because it was a picture of New York City.
Right. That's the
they
thing
were
they like.
Unavoidable landmarks, for the entire time they existed. And then suddenly it became, you cannot put these in anything.
Right.
And so they immediately had to it might have been a couple days later or something like that, but it was, I can't remember the exact details of that story, but there was something that they ended up having to pull and redo the cover art for. So something like that.
Right. So instead they went to a picture of the Pentagon.
Yeah. Yes. Or field in Pennsylvania. Yeah. My heart will always be. My heart wasn't in that joke for sure.
I'm glad it wasn't.
And then you've got the title track in quotation marks.
Yeah, because it's 23 minutes long.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've talked about multiple Bell Witch albums at this point. So I guess we can't really judge it, but also this is on an album with a bunch of other songs that are much more reasonable lengths.
Right.
And the funny thing about Octavarium, the song.
Yeah.
And the album in general is part of their goal with writing the album, other than the concept of it itself. Part of their goal with writing this album is they wanted to write an album that dialed back the complexity a little bit and was more accessible.
Sure.
And I think maybe they accomplished that in the first however many songs. And then they just couldn't fucking help themselves.
Right.
Because they're Dream Theater and they can never help themselves. Here's a 24-minute long song.
Right.
Like they kind of accomplished that goal of writing slightly more accessible, songs that are not, 13 minutes long and have 8 trillion time signature changes and that sort of thing. But if this, I feel like it tells you the caliber of musicians that they are, where this is their attempt of dialing it back.
Right.
And it's still an insanely intricate technical piece of songwriting.
And I feel a lot of this, there's a lot of ballads, a lot of soft pieces in here.
Yeah. And there's, you almost want to call them accusations of them attempting to write a radio friendly song, perhaps to rival Pull Me Under, which is the only song of theirs I'm aware of that ever got any radio play. But Portnoy kind of rebuked that of just we weren't really trying to do that. I mean, he was basically saying we like bands that are more popular. This was our attempt to make songs somewhat similar to that, but our record label was never going to send any of these songs to be played on the radio.
Right.
Our record label wouldn't know what to do with that stuff. This was also their last album on Atlantic Records. And interestingly, it was the last album to be recorded at the Hit Factory in New York City, which is a very famous production studio.
Right.
At least I think they moved to a different location, but their original location, this was the last album they had Michael Jackson, Madonna, Stevie Wonder, U2, John Lennon, like
everybody recorded there.
A bunch of massive names recorded at this place, and the last band to record in that building was Dream Theater, which is.
And it was the last one on Atlantic because they went to Earache after that, I think, didn't they?
No,
they did not.
I can't remember what they went to after Atlantic. What's their next album? Their next album is on
Megaforce.
Well, Score is on something called Rhino Entertainment, which I've never.
Yeah.
And then that was like a live album though. Systematic Chaos is on Roadrunner.
Cool.
Which is, famous hard rock and metal label.
Right. Rhino actually kind of is too.
Okay. That might have been a was thing or a little bit before my time, as far as labels that I'm not particularly familiar with. They also something that is notable here for the vast majority of like their career. If they need any sort of orchestral elements, that's usually just falls to Jordan Rudess to reproduce that on keyboard. They brought in an actual orchestra on this album for like the first time ever, and it sounds really awesome.
It does sound very good.
It sounds really, really good. And that was conducted by a guy named Jamshid Sharifi. Jamshid Sharifi, who also went to Berklee College of Music with Mike and the Johns, being Petrucci and Myung. I can't remember which song. It might have been several parts of Octavarium where they let John Myung really have his own for a little bit.
Really shine in there, yeah.
And I always love that when bands give some time to let the bassist really do their thing. And if you're gonna let any bassist really do their thing, it should be John Myung, because he's a fucking amazing bassist.
Right.
He's very, very good.
It should be John Myung or Les Claypool.
Or Tony Levin.
Or Tony Levin, yeah.
Tony Levin. But what are any of your thoughts? Because I've been just droning on and on and on about facts about this album. Let's get into the fiction.
Yeah,
that's enough facts. Let's get into the fiction.
This album was produced on Mars.
Yes. Let's get into the subjective shit.
I really like this.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think because I didn't know what was going to happen going in. Because a lot of times you don't with Dream Theater. I mean, they're like, okay, we did that. We're going to do this now.
Yeah, they always make it a little bit different on every album.
Because there was a lot of places where it started out where it sounded like it was going to be very heavy.
Yeah, there's a lot of like song openings that are really intense and really heavy for Dream Theater.
Right.
And then they change gears.
Right, entirely.
Which it's the little curveballs like that are always kind of neat. The exception to that is the song Panic Attack, which, true to its
all
name,
the way through.
Remains pretty unhinged the whole way through.
And I really related to that song. That might be my favorite song on the whole thing.
I would have to agree. I think Panic Attack feels like it would have fit more on the previous album to this, which was Train of Thought, which that was them going like, we're going to make every song be like, every Dream Theater album before then has like, oh, this is the heavy song. And they're like, here's an entire album of the heavy song.
Right. We reviewed that one, didn't we?
Yes, we did. That was last year.
Yeah.
So Panic Attack feels like it would have fit more on like on Train of Thought. Another one of their goals was they wanted this to be like a classic Dream Theater album, which I think is part of why like the concept is musical rather than lyrical. Because
I didn't notice like a theme lyrically. I mean, I know they got religious in a couple places. They got just introspective a lot, and
they just were writing the lyrics about whatever appealed to them, but dug into the concept in the songwriting, which I think is also cool to see.
It is
when it's oh shit. Did you smudge your tattoo?
I scratched it.
You scratched your tattoo. Yeah. You're not supposed to do that.
No. I mean, I've had it for over a week now, so it's fine.
Two of the people that I'm going to Vegas with are going to be getting tattoos while we're there.
You should get a tattoo.
No.
Why not?
Because first of all, I don't know what I would get. And second of all, is
your body a temple?
No, my body. If my body is a temple, it's to Dionysius.
Yeah.
It's no, I think tattoos are really cool. I've never come across anything
that you want to be that committed to.
That I want to be that committed to, and I'm not the type of person to get something that I'm not particularly committed to, because I would always look at that and go like, why did you get that? Like I wouldn't be able to be like detached or flippant about it if it's something that I'm not like really into or really attached to. If it's just like a tattoo I got for fun, I would like a month later I would be like, God, why did I get that? Fuck that.
Get a tattoo of your character that retired.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a full tattoo of a half orc, just a full
life
body.
Size.
Yeah, life. Yeah,
full body of half orc tattoo.
I mean, there is a guy out there,
a couple guys out there,
who have made themselves look like the specifically like the orcs in that movie Bright, which.
Oh,
if you're gonna,
why?
Yeah, because it's a fucking awful movie. But I know of at least one guy who's done that, and I just think that's weird. But normally I don't have anything against like people who do even like excessive body modifications. But there is a certain point where it's like, okay, this is just a mental illness that you're indulging in and spending too much money on. But
I was thinking you just get like a little tattoo of a half orc with
I could do. I don't know. If it's gonna be anything, it's gonna be some fucking Wonder Years lyrics. Like
we'll do that,
yeah. But I mean, like I don't know what form it would take. Like I would, I don't know. There's so many steps in that process, and I don't know where I would get it. And I just
there's the dude in the Mandalay Bay. He's really good.
I'm sure he's
hilarious.
I'm sure he's great, but I'm not going to get a tattoo when I'm in Vegas. Right. If I'm getting a tattoo, it's going to be something I have thought about for months, if not years.
Which means it's never going to happen.
It's probably never going to happen.
This from a guy who wears the same hoodie for a year straight.
Yeah.
Make a commitment there. But you can take the hoodie off.
I can take the hoodie off. Right. The tattoo. I mean, I could take the tattoo off.
True.
It's just not going to be fun.
What if you like one day have a prosthetic leg? Could you get tattoos on that?
I mean, it wouldn't really be tattoos. It would be like laser cut.
Sure.
It would be like laser engraved. Yeah, I would absolutely. If I had a prosthetic limb, I would absolutely trick the shit out of that thing.
Yeah.
I would do all kinds of customizable shit to that. That don't use that as an excuse to put me in situations where I might lose a limb.
No. Hey, Kayla, you want to go catch a train with me? I mean,
would you like to? Could you juggle these chainsaws for me real quick?
We're gonna go for a drive, and I need you to high five that telephone pole.
Hey, you see that PTO at the back of that tractor? Could you just reach in there real quick? There's a little thing in there that I need. Did you ever hear about that guy who got both his arms ripped off?
Yes, here in North Dakota.
And then used a pencil to put a pencil in his mouth and used it to dial 911. That's fucking insane.
It is fucking insane. They reattached to some extent. Yeah.
Yes.
He doesn't have full use, but
like how the fuck do you have it together enough to think not only, okay, yes, of course I need to dial 911. How am I going to do that with no arms? Well, okay, right. Formulate a plan really quick. Let me, this pencil, put it in my mouth. Dial, like,
see,
God damn.
I feel like in those situations, that's the only time I have it together.
Yeah.
If absolutely chaos and terror and horror, I can handle those. But like, oh, we're going into Applebee's? I'm having a fucking panic attack. Yeah.
I think there was a point I was like, because I will go on Wikipedia rabbit holes, and I was reading about like neurotic pattern, behaviors.
Yeah.
And about how there's some theory about how like those types of behaviors may be developed as a sort of like a basically as like a stress response specifically for dangerous situations. The idea being like, if you're always worried about something dangerous happening, you will be better prepared for it when it does.
Sure.
And maybe that's a part of it. Maybe that's why you're all right under those kinds of pressures.
Right. That's why I have panic or whatever and all of that stuff.
But then when it actually happens...
So you guys are panicking?
You know what to do.
That's my secret, Cap.
I'm always panicking. This is normal.
Right.
Speaking of panic, the song Panic Attack is on this album, which I almost said is 6 Degrees of Turbulence. No. It's Octavarium.
Yeah, it's...
This album slap.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This album definitely does slap.
Yes.
There was there's a bit where in Octavarium, at the beginning of Octavarium, by the way, where Jordan Rudess plays lap steel, and it's really cool. I thought that was really neat.
He's a talented fella.
He's a very talented fella. You actually kind of look like him right now.
Kind of, yeah. If I was completely bald on top.
Yeah.
I get the wizard beard.
You got the wizard beard going on.
Although I was told last night, by the way, it was just sort of the name dropped, just out of the blue. She's like, "Have you heard of a product called Just for Men?"
Why? Because you've got so much gray in your beard.
Yeah, she's like, "Yeah,
should give it a shot.
Could you maybe?"
Do they do Just for Men for gingers? I guess I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do.
So in the commercials, it's always like some dude with like dark brown hair.
Right.
It's always generic white man in those commercials. Another thing about the song Octavarium that you probably noticed is a number of pretty upfront references to a variety of other classic progressive rock songs.
Yes.
Which I thought was neat, as it's like the song almost exists as like a love letter to progressive rock, which I think is really neat. So I think we already said our favorite song is Panic Attack.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the heaviest. It is probably one of the more complex songs on the album, other than The Root of All Evil, which I would say is a close second. I will say, like, the catchier songs, The Answer Lies Within and These Walls, I do also really like.
Yeah.
I think the idea of those being a bit catchier and a bit more accessible doesn't cheapen them necessarily. I do enjoy I Walk Beside You. It's a little cheesy.
A little,
but there is like a level of genuine sort of uplifting emotion there that does feel nice as just a bit of an emotional pick me up that I enjoy.
I also like Sacrificed Sons. I thought it was really good.
It's a really good song.
It is,
and especially like really bringing back. I mean, it's different for me and a lot foggier and a lot hazier for me, because when this album came out, I was 8 years old.
Right.
But
so you were drinking a lot.
Yes, I was drinking a lot.
Yeah.
But even then, like I was aware somewhat of what was going on at the time, and so like the song kind of existing as a time capsule of like, what was the temperature like in 2004 about these sorts of things, and sort of like bringing a window back in time to what things were like in the aftermath of 9/11, the beginning of the Iraq War, and all of that. A little time capsule.
Every time you do that, I mean, especially that time.
Talk about reason, how old
I was
you
8 years old in 2004. I'm like, I think my colon just started bleeding. I was 8 years old in 1982.
Well, have you tried not being old?
Have you tried not being a mutant?
Have you, Bobby? Have you tried not being a mutant? So what metal are you bestowing upon this, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
I have to listen to it a few more times. I mean, right now for me, it's at a high silver.
I would agree. I think it's definitely far from my. I don't know if I would call it far from my favorite Dream Theater album.
Right.
But it's. I mean, my favorite Dream Theater album will always be Metropolis Part 2.
Sure.
Like, and every once in a while I make an effort to like go back through almost their entire discography and listen, and that pretty much never changes. Mm-hmm. Like it Metropolis Part 2 is just, for me, impossible to beat. I'm so deeply attached to that album as far as like Dream Theater goes that it's like it cannot be beat. So it becomes the benchmark by which all other Dream Theater albums are measured. Mm-hmm. And this one is is not quite as high.
No, it's great, but yeah,
it's really good as most Dream Theater albums are. Mm-hmm. But it's not their best of the best, but that doesn't make it bad. Mm-hmm. By any means. So next week, what do you want to talk about?
Next week, we're going to take a strange turn. We're going to take just a total left turn here. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time, but for some reason I forget about it by the time I get here.
Okay.
It's an album from 1988, a band that only really put out 3 albums. They're a German thrash metal band called Vendetta. Their album Brain Damage.
Brain Damage by Vendetta.
Which sometimes is one of those things where it just, if I don't see it, it leaves my memory. But then I see it, I go, I want to fucking listen to that again. Okay. And then I listen to it, it's like, this is great. This is tight, well written, well done. I like this. And then I'll stop listening and I'll go, what was it doing?
You have no object permanence when it comes to this album?
Exactly.
Was this album written by Forget-Me-Not from the X-Men?
It might be. That might be the German Forget-Me-Nots.
All right. So Vendetta.
Yeah.
And
their sophomore album.
Yeah.
Brain Damage.
Brain Damage. See, I already forgot. You told me what it was 5 seconds ago, and I already forgot. So that's nothing new, though.
No.
All right. So Brain Damage by Vendetta next week. Until you hear from us then, why don't you go ahead and give us a follow? I think Twitter still exists. I think Threads hasn't completely destroyed it yet.
Right.
Oh, God. I'm not making a fucking Threads account.
No. I thought about it for 2 seconds and it went, why the fuck would I do that?
I'm not making one for me personally, and I'm not going to make one for this podcast.
Yeah. I've already got too much social media. So
follow us on Twitter and on for however much longer Twitter exists. And on Facebook as well. Do that. Completely derailed myself somehow. Right. So until you hear from us now, also subscribe to our feed on whatever podcast service you're currently using to listen to us.
Right, which I assume they already have, otherwise they wouldn't be listening to us.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Maybe they haven't. Maybe they just stumbled across us. Maybe,
that's possible.
Maybe the algorithm brought us before them.
Hey, if you did something like that, message us through one of those, through Twitter.
We won't read it.
So send us a thread.
Is this one of them threads? Is that on the Twitters?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're not going to read your messages. So maybe don't do that.
Hey, we like you guys, but
I feel like the threshold for the amount of listeners we get every week for me to start actively paying attention is much higher than what we currently have. Like if we suddenly get a lot more attention, I'm like, oh, this is actually a thing now. I have to pay attention and like engage with the community a little bit.
Every individual is important.
I believe that when I see I believe that about human beings that I see in person.
See, the problem that would be is if suddenly 4,000 people were, listening to the pod, it wouldn't be like, oh, there's a community I need to pay attention to. It'd be like, oh shit, what did I say?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's definitely the reaction that would be.
Right.
What happened? What do these people think? Are people like dragging me on Twitter? Or is like, do people like, that's what it would be for sure.
Right.
But anyway, until next week, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.